In this video, I'm going to explain what IFS is and how it can help you unlock your true self. IFS has been really transformational in my own life and in the lives of my coaching and therapy clients. I'll go over what the self is, what parts are and how they affect us, the goals of IFS, how IFS works, and how you can start practicing IFS today. So what is your self? Your self is who you are beneath all of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. It's the core of your being. Some of the qualities of self that IFS highlights can be found in the 8 C's and the 5 P's. Some of these include calmness, clarity, compassion, playfulness, or patience. Everyone has experienced connecting with their true self. We all have different doorways. You may have felt it most while you're in nature and feeling connected to something greater than yourself. Maybe you felt it during meditation or when you're praying, maybe on psychedelics. Maybe you felt it while in flow, playing a sport or playing a game, something that you're really good at, and something where you feel that you can let the worries of your mind fall away and just be present and here. Be connected, clear, and calm. Be creative and playful. One of, I think, the most important ideas of IFS is that we all have a self, and we can all access our true self. So why is it that we don't often, most of us, access our true self and live as our true, higher, authentic self? Well, that brings us to the next part of IFS, which is that we all have parts of ourselves. We all have subpersonalities. These parts of us have unique thoughts, feelings, roles. They have different memories. And these parts are valuable. It's useful to have different parts of ourselves that can come up in different contexts. For example, you probably want to bring a different part of yourself out when you're hanging out with your grandma versus when you're hanging out with your intimate partner or when you're at work. The trouble comes when these different parts of us take on extreme roles. These parts of ourselves take on extreme roles because of past painful experiences that lead them to taking on protective roles that maybe are adaptive in their intention and could have been adaptive at some point in our life, but have become maladaptive as we've grown older, or they become overactivated and too extreme in the way that they come in and try to help. So what's an example of this? You might have a perfectionist part that really tries to help you get things right and get all of the details of a project really perfected, which is a useful quality in some cases. But if this perfectionist part is coming in every hour of the day for little minor tasks and leading us to feel lesser than, like we're not good enough because we can really never get it perfect, then the role of this part has become too extreme. So this kind of part is what we would call in IFS to be a protector. This is a part that's trying to manage things, control things, and really avoid pain. For example, this perfectionist part may have taken on the idea that if it's not perfect, you're going to be punished. And it might have taken on this idea because of your parents having punished you in the past when you were younger for making mistakes. And this sense of hurt that was taken on is now protected from by this perfectionist role that's trying to get everything right so that you never make a mistake again and never get hurt again. So these protector parts are trying to protect you from further pain or protect you from being overwhelmed by what are called exiled parts. that are holding on to the pains that we've endured from our past experiences. These exiled parts are carrying wounds. They often feel ashamed, but really at their core they feel afraid. They feel hurt. And these parts that are carrying all this pain, they can overwhelm us. And it can be hard to function in the world when we are flooded with feelings of fear or sadness or anxiety. So it makes a lot of sense that protector parts would take on roles to prevent these hurt, exiled parts from taking over our system. And the deep fear that these protector parts have is that if these hurt, exiled parts of us take over, that we won't be able to survive in the world, we won't be able to function. So they really try to protect us from the feelings of these parts, or they try to protect these exiled parts from taking on more pain. So what are the goals of IFS? The goals really are twofold. It's to help these parts of us that have taken on these burdens of pain and trauma and hurt, and have taken on these burdens of extreme roles that are often impossible to really maintain in a sustainable way. And the second goal is to become more of our true self, to access our true and higher self, and to live more and more as that, while leading our parts, while calling on upon our parts and the useful qualities that they have in a more balanced and harmonious way. So how does IFS help us do this? Well, in a very simplified outline, IFS first helps you by accessing your true self. Then it takes you through some steps of helping you build trust, connecting with these protector parts of us, getting to know them, understanding their fears and helping them relax a bit so that we can then connect with the exiled or hurt parts that they are protecting. We then, through some steps in the IFS process, help these exiled parts let go of the hurt that they've taken on. And once these exiled or hurt parts let go of that pain, the protector parts that have taken on extreme roles as a result of these exiled parts will now feel safe enough to let go of these roles that they've taken on and take on new roles that are healthier, more relaxed, and a lot less effortful. And this allows you then to live more as your true and higher self. Okay, so how do you start practicing IFS? Well, IFS can be done by yourself, or it can be done with the help of a practitioner. This can be a therapist, a coach, or even a peer that has learned some of the IFS process and is kind enough to guide you through it. If you're interested in practicing IFS by yourself, an IFS therapist named Jay Early has written a really great book called Self-Therapy, which is basically a guide for how to practice IFS by yourself. It gives you all of the steps of IFS. I've also created a chatbot and through a custom GPT in ChatGPT that allows you to practice IFS by yourself, but with the guidance of a chatbot that knows all of the IFS steps. And this is useful because for some it can be challenging to remember all of the steps, especially if you're early on your IFS journey. So you can check that out. It's called IFS Chat, and there's a link in the description. And also the other option, and I'd highly recommend taking this option if you have serious trauma, is to work with an IFS practitioner. I'd also recommend doing this if you just have the resources to, because working with an IFS practitioner will allow you to connect more compassionately to these different parts of you. It really helps to have somebody with you, guiding you through the IFS process, who has a lot of access to self of their own that they can then share with you in your parts, that inner calmness and compassion, which is really important for working with these parts. If you're interested in learning more about IFS and how to practice IFS, I'll have more videos on my channel here, as well as some meditations that will help you access more of yourself. And if you want to work with a practitioner, I've been working with clients for about 2 years using IFS and non-dual meditation and spirituality. And you can find a link to my website in the description. Thank you.